Hello, you are listening to WPS1 Art Radio. The show is Beyond the Subtitles. It's where we take a close-up look at independent and foreign language films, and I'm your host, Stephen Schaefer. So, Heath Ledger, you are in one of the most talked about, most anticipated films of the year with Todd Haynes' I'm Not There, playing one of 6 Bob Dylans, supposedly. Can you talk about who your Bob Dylan is? He's called Robbie in the film.
Robbie Clark, yeah, he's an actor. I work opposite Charlotte Gainsbourg, and I guess our story together kind of chronicles, his love life, his struggles with love and a relationship, and his trying to manage both his professional life and his private life, and that's really it. I guess in a sense, I had less of a task to kind of physically portray Dylan, and it was more the story that I was acting within was kind of more of a portrait of him. So I was relieved of that responsibility, happily, because there was a lot going on around me, a lot of Dylans floating about, so it was nice to kind of be a little detached from him.
So when you play Robbie, you're not asked to disguise yourself and look like what we think of Bob Dylan necessarily from the 60s, the way when we see Cate Blanchett playing the electric Bob Dylan, you could put the 2 pictures of them side by side.
Yeah, no, that was, Todd from the get-go kind of explained. I was asking him, I was like, look, should I be talking, walking, moving like Bob? Like, what's the deal? Like, what is everyone else doing? What should I do? What's going on here? And he was like, no, just do whatever, kind of, you're from New York, you're an actor. And I was like, okay. All right. And then the only time I had to be somewhat Dylan-esque was when I had to portray Christian's character. Christian Bale plays a Dylan-esque character in the movie, but the only problem was Christian hadn't arrived on set yet. He hadn't performed, so no one knew what Christian was doing, so therefore I had no idea who I was portraying as an actor. Robbie Clark playing no one, someone, something, and so I kind of had to just roll with that, and but I think Todd enjoyed, I think he enjoyed the disconnect. I don't think he wanted like a perfect imitation from Robbie of this Dylan-esque character. I think he wanted to show kind of how removed and how, how removed one's kind of interpretation of another person can be, and so on and so forth. So I think he was happy with the separation.
Did you know when you did this that Christian Bale, of course, is in this movie as one of the other Bob Dylans, that you would be working with him in the Dark Knight, the Batman Begins sequel?
Yes, I did. It was funny to see Batman in an afro, and I marvel at Christian. His dedication to acting is phenomenal. He's really one of those actors who he metaphorically and physically starves himself for roles, and I didn't obviously work with him on this film, but in Batman it was a lot of fun working with him. He manages to pull a human being out of that bat suit, and it's kind of it's very intriguing and very curious kind of process to watch. And we had a lot of fun working together.
You play the Joker, of course, in that, and first I've heard from Michael Caine about what a frightening entrance you make with, I understand, 7 dwarfs out of an elevator. He talked about being on the set and said you're going to make everybody forget Jack Nicholson. But the first part of that is after Brokeback Mountain, which, some people thought was, one of the landmark performances of the last 20 years, and compared it to Marlon Brando's work. I was actually surprised that you'd be in a big sort of popcorn movie, like a Batman movie, doing a role that Jack Nicholson had sort of, it seemed, indelibly performed. I was thinking, what is Heath Ledger thinking here? Why does he want to do this when he's got, I don't know, maybe a new kind of career or prestige or whatever?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't know what I was thinking. I would have actually played the Joker if it was if the budget for Dark Knight was $100,000. It was truly just this character was too good to turn down, and yes, it would be a crime to to attempt to to follow Jack Nicholson's footpath that he so heavily stamped into my memory of the Joker. I mean, I adore what he did and him in general. And like I said earlier, I think if Tim Burton was doing The Dark Knight and it was going to be a Tim Burton-esque film and he asked me for some odd reason to bring the Joker back to life, I wouldn't do it because Jack Nicholson did it perfectly.
For the Tim Burton vision.
Correct. And instead I had Christopher Nolan asking me, and I'd already seen this world he'd created in Batman Begins, and so I knew there wasn't room for the old interpretation. There was in fact an opportunity for a new version of the Joker, and that excited me, and I also knew instantly what to do. It was one of those moments where I didn't really have to give it that much thought. It just, when I was asked to do it, I knew exactly what to do, and I sat down in front of Chris and I gave him my ideas, and they were identical to his ideas. We kind of chuckled at it, and I walked out, and I locked myself away for 6 weeks in a room, and I kind of came up with this creep. And but you know, he's not just going to be scary. I mean, there are a few surprises. I think it was the most fun I've had with a character, hands down. It was just so that's why I'm in this monster machine of a movie, popcorn movie, if you will. Is it was purely a character choice. I can honestly say that, and so yeah, I am to blame, and I can't complain from this point on from what happens from that movie, but I really couldn't turn it down. It was creatively, it was just it was too good to be true.
You've been working steadily as a leading man since you arrived from Australia with 10 Things 10 Things I Want to Know? I Hate About Her. I was going to say 10 Things I Want to Know About Her. 10 Things I Hate About Her. And Brokeback Mountain really was, in some ways a career peak, or in many ways. Did it really change things for you in the way you looked at yourself, or the way you felt what you were able to then go do as an actor in terms of what Hollywood would offer you? Yes, it did. I'd like to not think of it as a peak, because I'm only 28 and I've got a few more years. You can have many peaks.
Okay, good.
There are peaks and there are valleys.
Oh, that's true. Okay. But
just one of many career peaks.
Hopefully. But yeah, I get, it did on many levels. I think personally it did too. I've been looking. I always look for things that challenge me and teach me and teach me to be more understanding, accepting human being and actor, and that was a real task. There were a lot of obstacles, and I don't think you could say it's being brave or being courageous. It's just, I think it's just being honest and being understanding and accepting and of myself and of the story and of the character. And it did teach me a lot about that and about your power to believe. So I, on a personal level, got a lot out of it. And definitely it opened some doors. People are somewhat oddly trusting me more now, which I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for them. But it's So